Welcome back. Let's see an example of command injection on our DVWA page. So open up your OWASP and navigate to the DVWA. Here we are going to log in with our credentials and make sure, as usual, that intercept is turned off so we can navigate between the pages. Now, once we get to this page, we want to go to this part right here that says command execution. It's essentially the same thing as command injection, they just named it differently. Let's go there, and for this first example, make sure that security level is set to low, and we'll be checking out security level low and security level medium. I believe in these newer versions of DVWA, the high security level is actually not vulnerable, and it's an example of how the code should look like once the input is not vulnerable, or once the input is filtered properly. So right here it tells us ping for free. We can enter an IP address and it will ping that IP address. Here I typed in the IP address of my router and it performed 3 ping requests and it outputted the results right here. So already by seeing these results, we can imagine that the page is performing something like this. Ping 192.168.1.1-C for the count and then 3. Then it pings the router 3 times and it outputs this result back to us on the page. So this page is interacting with the system. Now let's try to inject our command. So I'll type in the IP address, and by the way, this IP address most likely won't work for you. This is just my router's IP, so feel free to try with a different IP instead, whether it's external IP address or a local IP address inside of your network. And now let's type semicolon and let's type ls. Submit this. And here is our command injection. It executed the second command as well. So simple as that, we managed to run our command injection, and now we can do pretty much anything that we performed in the previous videos, such as running reverse shell, such as taking a look at different accounts and passwords and all of that. But this is not why we performed this example. We want to see how we can also perform command injection on security level medium. So to change the security level on DVWA page, navigate to here that says DVA security and change from low to medium. Click on submit and go back to the command execution, and down here you should see that now the security level is set to medium. So let's try the same thing. Let's go with the IP address first, just to see what type of output do we get. And we get pretty much the same output as before. Now let's try to execute our ls command by typing semicolon, space, and then ls. Nothing happens. And you will notice that on this DVWA page, we do have the source code to how this input is filtered. This source code is written in PHP, and we're going to take a look at it just so we can see why our command injection doesn't work now. So let's open the source code. As I mentioned, it's written in PHP. Even though we don't really need to know PHP, we can try to guess what this code is doing. So this is the IP address that we input, or should I say the command that we input, and now it performs this part right here, or should I say this part. This is the important part for us. So it creates an array that uses these characters. And we can see our semicolon right here. So it pretty much every time in our command that it sees semicolon, it will change it to nothing. Same goes with these 2 signs. And by the way, these 2 signs are also used to concat different commands. Let me show you in terminal. So you can type something like ping 192.168.1.1-C3, and then you can use these 2 signs to also run ls right afterwards, as you can see right here. So semicolon is not the only way that we can concat commands. And we can see both of these ways are filtered. It will replace them with nothing in this line right here. And that's why our ls command doesn't work. So does this mean that the input is not vulnerable? Well, not really. There are more ways that we can concat commands. For example, we can type ping 192.168.1.1-C3, and then instead of using two of these signs, we can just use one of them, and it will still work. Let me show you. If I type one sign and then ls, here it is. It printed out both of these things done. It just did this first command straight away and the second command right after. But it did perform both of these commands. So can we try something like that right here? As we can see, it's not filtering just one of them, it's filtering once it sees two of these signs. Well, let's give it a try. Let's try to ping 192.168.1.1 and use one of these signs and then ls. Let's submit this. Whoops, it actually won't work because we typed ping, so we just need to type an IP address and let's say who am I. Let's type who am I this time, just by using one sign to separate the commands. And we do get both of the outputs back, just the who am I output is somewhere in the middle of this command. That is because once you type only one sign and not two of them, it actually executes both command simultaneously, and whichever output comes first will be printed out right here. And currently we got the output of who am I in the middle of the ping command, but we did run our command injection on medium security level. Awesome. And in reality, you wouldn't really have this source code right here. You wouldn't be able to see the PHP code. However, you would try all of these signs. You would try semicolon, you would try both of these signs, you would try one of the signs. You can also try the pipe character in order to concat different commands, and all of those things could be filtered, or maybe most of them are filtered, but you do manage to find one sign that isn't, that will allow you to perform command injection. So you would just try all of them and see whether any of them works. Now that we covered command injection, in the next section we're going to cover another big set of vulnerabilities that is called broken authentication. See you in the next lecture.